All right. Cool. It is 11 a.m. where I am. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our 20K live stream. Thank you so much for all the support that you guys have given the channel, especially over the past few months, especially in the lead up to Forbidden West. And I just really wanted to hop on here and say thank you to you guys and really celebrate with you guys, because obviously this would not be possible without all of your support. It's still kind of crazy to think about me bugging my wife and telling her, how excited I was, when I had like 55 subscribers or 70 subscribers. And here we are at 20,000, which is still pretty crazy to say. Still got goals, still got stuff to accomplish, but thanks to you guys, we're closer to those goals than we've ever been before. And thank you guys so much. See you guys all popping up in the chat. We got Scarlett and Aubrey and Matthew, EG, everybody. Thank you guys so much for coming. And yeah, let's get into some Horizon lore. A ton of stuff has happened since we talked last like this. We've gotten new trailers and meet machines and tribes and more stuff, and it's just insane. Ben, yeah, the mustache. Life's too short to take yourself too seriously, so that's how that is. I would turn my volume up a little bit, but unfortunately my heater is on. It's a little chilly where I am right now, and I'll just try to speak a little bit louder. But yeah, EG, have I gotten my Horizon tattoo yet? Not yet. That is definitely on the docket. I think I found an artist, and that's the first step to making those kind of things happen. I've gotten tattoos before, obviously, and I just want to make sure that whatever tattoos I get, I'm going to be happy with. Hello, everybody. Hi. Royal, loving the content, man. Keep it up. Thank you very much there, Lucas. Yeah, wow. Hello from Dubai. This is always the crazy part for me, because I'm just sitting here creating content and just being able to talk with you guys as much as possible. And just kind of, this is one of my favorite things to do, is interact with a community like this from all over the world, which is insane to me, but I'm incredibly grateful. All right, let's see here. Let's get into our first lore question. Do you think Charles Ronson was in love with Elizabeth? His data logs heavily point to that conclusion. So if you're unaware, Charles Ronson was the alpha of the Artemis subfunction. He's a very famous conservationist. It's clear that he had a great affection for Elizabeth Sobek, but I'm pretty sure he was actually in a relationship with Tom Page, who worked under him with in Artemis. That was pretty heartbreaking for him. So even though I think they cared for one another, I think he was involved with Tom. Sweet S, hello from France. Hi from Iran. Surprised now? Yes, I am. Great to see everybody here. From Finland, from the Philippines, from Australia. Wow, you guys, for those of you who are staying up really late, I appreciate you stopping by. Yep, let's see here. Hi from Croatia. Yeah, this is just, it's always shocking to me, but I appreciate you all so much. And yeah, we hit 20,000, which is insane. Kirsty's Focus is in the chat. Hello, Kirsty. For those of you who don't know, because I'm always about trying to connect the Horizon content community, can't talk today, content creator community, you can see why that was tricky, together. Kirsty's Focus is an awesome Horizon channel, so if you're here and you haven't checked out Kirsty's Focus, want to give her a big plug. She does great work, especially with digital photography, but Horizon in general. Tyler Boyce, greeting from the Bay Area, from Scotland. Oh my goodness. All right, Emerson, RSQ, now that there is a Triceratops machine, what other dinosaur machines do you want to be added? Well, we've got the Claw Strider, so we got our Velociraptor taken care of. It really does seem that Forbidden West has taken the whole dinosaur thing to a new level, because a lot of people said Horizon was like robot dinosaurs, but there's a lot of machines that are far more based on mammalian morphology. So I really do think that this is very much they're really embracing the dinosaur thing. So we got the rollerbacks, which are kind of like pangolin and Kylosaurus machines. And then we got like the Tide Ripper, which is like a plesiosaur. I'd love to see like a mosasaur style machine, just to make it even crazier. when it comes down to get in the ocean. Good evening from Wales, UK. Thank you, Steve. Jordan asks, what are your thoughts on Horizon Forbidden West being made for both PS4 and PS5? Do you think anything will be held back on the PS4? You know, from a game development standpoint, I'm not super educated in that. However, I do trust Guerrilla, and I understand why they did it, especially for so many people who are having a hard time getting their hands on a PS5. I'm just really happy that, in general, more people will get to play the game. So whether it's held back or not, I think it'll be good on both platforms. I trust Guerrilla. They put out a great product last time, so I just got to have faith that they're going to be all right. Aubrey, have I seen any of the leaked footage? No, I haven't. So if you're hopping into this stream hoping to talk about those leaks, just know that I haven't seen any of them, and I'm going to try to stay away from the leaks until the game launches, so I won't have to. Principally just because I want to judge the game on a completed first-hand account and get a full picture that way instead of bits and pieces that, you know, could change, you know, with a day one patch or something like that. Let's see here. I have a feeling these cradle facilities are going to be more intense. We could see a different cradle. We did find out in the Gaiacast that all of the tribes come from Aletheia 9, which I was pretty surprised to hear, but that was confirmed, so that was a cool bit of information. If you don't watch the Gaiacast, I'd recommend it, or if you don't have time, watch our highlight videos. The next one will be coming out real soon. Let's see here. If they're working with megafauna, I wonder if they'll incorporate the giant sloth into design. The giant sloth is pretty sweet. Let's see. Shame it's not coming out on PC. You know, well, eventually. It might not be coming out immediately, but if HZD is any indication, it could happen. That port could happen. I always feel so bad for the people who got Horizon on PC because Guerrilla didn't do that port, and then they spent all this time fixing the job that other people did. Craig, question from Scotland. Do you think they will explore more of Ted Pharaoh in Forbidden West, such as how the glitch started, or what happened to him after he purged Apollo? I certainly hope so. That's like the biggest mystery of the Horizon universe, and I would hate to see them kind of throw it by the wayside, whether they save it for this one or the next one. Because, you know, it seems like Elizabeth knew the true cause of the glitch, even though we don't. So even if we don't find out more about it from Ted, if we found out more about it from Elizabeth, and I'm hoping to find more about her company that she started after she left Pharaoh, which was Miriam Technology. So I'm hoping that we get a little bit more insight there, because anything more we can find out about Elizabeth, I think, will be awesome, and I think Eloy would be interested in. What is the real identity of the daemon in the Frozen Wilds? Whether it's related to Gaia subfunction or not. Well, Ollie, I would hate to... By the way, this stream is going to be chock full of spoilers. If you haven't played through the Frozen Wilds, you do get the answer to that question, and it is very much related to Gaia. Let's see. Do you have any theories, insights on what or who the new mystery tribe will be? That was a heck of a tease they dropped at the end of that trailer, where, you know, we knew the Tenakth were going to be in the Forbidden West, we knew the Utaru were going to be in the Forbidden West, and then this new mysterious tribe, right? I've seen a lot of speculation about it, as far as if it's Erive's lost Karja from when he went to the Forbidden West, you know, remnants of people who survived on the Odyssey because it was successful, or just a new tribe that's you know, like Silence, and maybe that Silence originally came from, because they don't believe that he's actually Banuk. So that's really up in the air. They didn't give us a lot to go off of. There were descriptions of kind of like minorly seafaring people in the Forbidden West data point, where they're talking about people on thin, dark boats. So I would reference that. It's probably the closest we're going to get to finding out before the game's release. Let's see here. Which companions from the first game do you think will be in the second game besides Aaron and Talana? That's the thing. I was going to mention Aaron and Talana because they've been featured heavily in Game Art, or you've just seen them. I think Petra has been confirmed. Petra Forge Woman. She was a NPC in Horizon Zero Dawn. She made the Oseram cannons that were used to break down the gates of Meridian during the Liberation. So I think she's been confirmed that she'll be in the game. Yeah, I think maybe Varl, but any Nora, it's going to be kind of interesting, even though they were all kind of granted the title of Seeker before the Battle of the Light. Whether they're actually super thrilled about that and they want to pursue that is entirely up to them. Let's see here. Do you think that the Scorcher will return in Forbidden West? Those are the machines that I'm the most interested to see if they'll carry over, because they're very much linked to Hephaestus and the Epsilon Cauldron. Fire Claws, Frost Claws. I think that I would love to see them in there, because they are some really terrifying machines. That was like a great test to see if you could survive in the frozen wilds. Like when you first go there was when the first thing that puts you up against is a Scorcher. And it's like, if you can make this, if you can defeat this thing, maybe you're ready for this part of the game. But if not, you should just scurry back down the Grave Horde and finish some more quests and get ready for it. So I hope so. They're some of my favorite machines. On your latest video, all the lore up to Forbidden West, the hour and some video. How many hours editing, script writing did that take you? Jiminy Christmas. Well, Royal, that's a good question. It took me a long time. I worked on that project for several months. I don't do YouTube full time, so try to balance that with work. So I believe the script was something like 15,000 words. So just really crushing this thing and trying to get it done. But ultimately, I would probably say that it took upwards of 60 hours to complete the whole thing. Patient Wolf is in the chat. Congrats, Chili. You'll be at 40K by the end of March, guaranteed. Well, thank you, Patient. I certainly hope so. Patient Wolf, awesome content creator. If you haven't seen his, watch this video before you play Horizon Forbidden West. I think it is criminally underrated. And I know a lot of people have commented, and they like my voice for some reason. The Patient Wolf's voice is like if you mixed Bife and Michael Caine together. It's just not fair. It's just not fair for the rest of us. Wolf is what I'm saying. So be sure to check out his stuff, and his stuff was featured in that really long video, and it really saved my bacon on those cutscenes. Tyler, thank you for not discussing the leaks. Yeah, I'm just gonna be talking about official stuff that Guerrilla's put out, because I'm just not really super interested in the leaks. Do you think Horizon Forbidden West will get a DL? Oh, sorry, I said it right. I get so. Horizon Forbidden West and Frozen Wilds have the exact same initials, so I mix them up perpetually all the time. Do you think Horizon Forbidden West will get a DLC, another Gaia part, just like HCD? I would imagine that there's going to be some DLC. I would be hard pressed to think that there won't be some DLC coming down the pipe, which I'll just say, shut up and take my money. Let's see here. Let's go up a little bit. The Forbidden West is on the coast, so we could see mass graves of corruptors for when they lit the ocean on fire to stop them and pay and buy Gaia some time. Yeah, that's one of my things that I'm the most looking forward to when we get to the Forbidden West, because where the game takes place in Zero Dawn is kind of like the last stand of humanity, and then just kind of like the final collapse, to where the West Coast was definitely very much like almost the height of enduring victory, where it was crashing against the Western Hemisphere for the first time in the battles of the California Marine and the battle on the Eastern Seaboard Wall. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of wartime wreckage there. So I think it's just going to be a lot different of an aesthetic. RSQ, do you think that the new tribe might be the Oshawa? Oh, that's right. So yeah, because there was a rumor that I covered, like, I want to say almost a year ago, that I first, when I made that video, I was very much like, listen, take all of this with the biggest grain of salt you can find. Maybe, I'm not sure how much validity is in that leak. I don't think I've seen any follow-up on it, so I'm just interested to find out for myself. RSQ, did you know that the location at the end of Machine Trailers is the space station in California, might be related to the Odyssey? That's very interesting. I did not know that. I'll have to double check I'm also very interested in seeing what real world locations there are. I still have aspirations of making more Metal World episodes, if you haven't seen those, where I go and visit the actual like in-person locations that Horizon takes place in. It's one of my favorite things to make, and I'd love to make more. Sweet, thank you so much for the super chat. Congrats on reaching 20K, so happy for you guys. Well, I'm so happy for all of us, right? It is, it is absolutely a group accomplishment, and I am just so thrilled that we can all do this together, you know? Nobody does this by themselves. Bro, tell us, do you think that there will be data points in the new game? Most of the past was revealed. I do think that we're going to get more detail stuff, right? I would love to get more data points concerning different AIs that existed, that were created during the clawback. Any lore that precedes 0 Day I find fascinating. It's some of my favorite stuff. So, you know, the more we can dive into that stuff, I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. Let's see here. Do you consider the lightning bolt that awoke Hades in the lightning bolts we see in the particular storm, the red streaks, or is there like a connection? Yeah, I have all kinds of thoughts on Hades. It's like my favorite thing to talk about. It's funny because I made a video. I think it was like my third video ever that I made that was called Hades: A New Perspective, where I kind of talked about it. And then I made a video later on after Forbidden West that was very much geared to like the theory, but under with this new context. So yeah, I would recommend that because I could talk about Hades all the time. And the red lightning is pretty interesting because I'm pretty sure red lightning is an actual natural phenomena where like the polarity is like, or the charge is switched from negative to positive. It's very rare, but I'm pretty sure it actually occurs in nature, which is nuts to think about. And it's far more deadly than regular lightning because lightning wasn't deadly enough. I really hope that Eloy can find Apollo. I do think that that's going to be a plot point. You have to do it if you want to bring Gaia back to her full capabilities. But obviously, dealing with whatever's going on first with the collapsing biosphere is going to be a little bit more pressing. Where do you think the tutorial story will be? That's interesting because, you know, we've seen a lot of different kind of geographies in these trailers. We've seen, you know, vast deserts. We've seen all kinds of stuff. However, I think there was like in the Game Informer article, they talked about the canyons of the Daunt, which are important in Horizon lore because that's where Arive kind of got pushed back a number of times before the Sun King and his army was able to march through. And that's a little bit beyond Sunfall. So I think that perhaps either, because a lot of people have also asked me if we'll see the original map in Horizon, which I doubt. But if we are going to see kind of a section of the map, I would either say Sunfall or Sobek Ranch. So I think either of those or the Canyons of the Daunt will be close to where the tutorial mission will take place. Let's see here. I think Horizon Forbidden West will let you go to the east. Maybe it'll east of something. The wording of that trailer was very odd when they talked about like the eastern edge of the Sundom. I knew what they were talking about, but I think they could have phrased that better. I think it was kind of oddly confusing because, like we mentioned in that video, the eastern edge of the Sundom is pretty commonly known as Norlands. Mr. Game Utopia 1, thank you so much for your super chat. Congrats on 20K. Thank you very much. Wouldn't it be cool and interesting if Guerrilla makes a multiplayer mode for Horizon Forbidden West? Mode where you can work as a team and hunt certain robots. Yeah, I would love that. The one thing I was always very hesitant about, like, oh man, you know, you sacrifice PvE for PvP or multiplayer. But if they could do what they did for Horizon, what they did for Ghost of Tsushima, and make like a Legends mode for Horizon, I would lose my flippin' mind. I love Legends so much, and the fact that it was free with the game is shocking to me. So I know I talk about Horizon a lot. I'm a big Ghost of Tsushima person, and yeah, if they could do the Legends treatment on Horizon, I would lose my mind. I would lose my mind. Let's see here. RSQ, do you think a clone of Ted could exist out there since he messed with Apollo with the Omega clearance? could he have messed with Eleuthia or the Lightkeeper program? That's a really good question, because there's a seed of doubt of like, oh, Ted wouldn't have access to that because of the Omega clearance. You really don't know what Ted could have access to, right? The Lightkeeper protocol, if you're unfamiliar, is the program that connected genetic material from the alphas to, in theory, have clones of the alphas carry on the work of the originals after they passed away, and that's how Eloy was able to be cloned using that genetic material. It was never processed out of Cradle facilities, so it couldn't have happened at Gaia Prime, but that's why Eloy was born at Eleuthia 9, is because of that genetic material. So if Ted snuck his in there somewhere, that's the thing, you can't write it off. I'm not sure if it's, it was intended for the alphas, but obviously the alphas were intended to live too, so it really depends on how far gone Ted was. The last Gaia cast really got into a really cool subject talking about this spiritual summit, which is a pretty obscure data point. They don't name it in the lore, but I'm pretty sure Ben McCaw, within the writing team, they called it Ted Pharaoh's Summit for Spiritual Success, which is incredibly on brand for Ted, but essentially just looking for forgiveness in the wake of what was about to happen in global extinction. And that's why he very much kind of was like, listen, technology is a problem. I'm not the problem. This was inevitable. So I was just the person this happened to fall to. Woe is me. So, where that thought process would take him towards the end of his life would be kind of insane. There's also like little bits of lore that talk about life extension therapies that were happening towards the end of the 21st century. So, yeah, there's there's multiple ways that Ted could potentially be messing with things still. I know that everybody just kind of secretly just wants Ted there, so you can put an end to him, which I get. Let's see here. Can you imagine Travis Tate raising Travis Tate? Yeah, you would end up with Travis Tate. Just pure, unadulterated. Let's see here. What do you think of the ominous final shot from the Machines trailer? It looked like the remains of a shuttle launch pad, hinting at the Odyssey. Well, apparently we found out earlier in the chat that's a real place. I'm going to have to look into that, because that's, there absolutely could be something to that. Especially since the Odyssey, well, the thing is, the Odyssey was supposedly in space already. I'm pretty sure it was like built in space, but it was in space already, and as it spun up to leave the atmosphere, or not the atmosphere, but the solar system, that's when it suffered a catastrophic antimatter containment failure, which supposedly was its end. But with the red stars and the logo of the Odyssey project, there's some heavy foreshadowing that if it's not still intact, I think it will still have a role to play in the future. Do you think that the Tenakth overriding a bristleback with the red corruption from the first trailer will have implications, or was it a mistake like the Thunder Jaws in the opening HCD cutscene? Right, so there's something to be said about like anything that we see in trailers and how it affects the actual lore of the game, because things change or they want to put things kind of forward. But I've always found it interesting that like when Aloy overrides things, they actually turn blue in general, because that's like very much indicative of like calm machines or like Gaia controlled machines, to where this is very much like a byproduct of Pharaoh tech. She's using the Pharaoh force manipulation from the Scarab to override machines. So it actually make more sense if you're being thematic to make it red, but it just happens to be blue because I think it's just better from an art perspective, just kind of identify what's good and what's bad. I think they're probably using similar technology. I'm not sure if, I'm not sure where the continuity is as far as like if they were intending to make it red or not. I think probably what they were trying to most get across in that trailer was these people are dangerous. They have the ability to override machines, which only make them more dangerous. So, and I think they got their point across pretty well. So I'm just drinking tea in the morning because it's delicious. Is there significance to Elizabeth's quote, "Stop listening to Ted and start listening to me," from the Eclipse recording? That's a good question. The relationship between Ted and Elizabeth is incredibly complex and weird, and overall just tenuous at best, right? I think when you're talking about any of those interactions, context is wildly important, and we don't have a lot of context, I think, with that one specifically, because she straight up says the real reason for the glitch. We don't know. She knew, but we don't know. So as far as like, stop listening to Ted, listen to me, there's just so much that could be elaborated from that. I'd hate to speculate without more information, because it really could mean anything. What do you think the ramifications would be of Apollo being restored to the people of Aloy's time? That's a really good question, Andrew. And it's one that it was posed a little bit in the Frozen Wilds when Cyan asked, like, she's talking to Aloy pretty frankly, because they're on the same page as like, what is Cyan? And you kind of have an option of what advice to give Cyan, because she asks Aloy, like, these people's entire ideology is based around, I'm a machine spirit. This is like their entire culture is built off of this belief. And you as Aloy kind of get to guide Cyan in certain ways, because I think very much like when Ahriman found those ancient writings from our time, some people took it as an opportunity to learn and progress, and some people were inherently very scared and rejected it. So I don't think there would ever be like a universal held belief that we would all just be like, oh yeah, cool, and then just switch over. I think a lot of people will hold on to the customs that they've come to know and that they feel are their truth. So I think as much as it would be necessary to bring Gaia back, I think that it would cause a really big divide amongst the peoples of Horizon. Like, do you accept this, or what do you think? Has Aloy shown the people of the past to any one of her tribesmen? I don't think so, because the Nora, just number one, really are not about that. Silence, if you count him as far as people from the time, but he's very unique in the situation that he has a much greater understanding of what's really happening in the world than most. But outside of that, it's interesting to think about. Like, I think that she shows people very sparingly, but the Osram have seen these kind of things, so she's not exclusive to this knowledge, but it's kind of rare company. When is the next comic video coming out? Tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. Hello from Italy, Giuseppe. Appreciate you coming here. The old structure from the Machines trailer, the main base of the Tenakth, they have one, so maybe, let's see here. Well, I think I missed part of the context in that one, but I did break that down a little bit. It was pretty cool. Got a shout out from Jor Raptor about it. I just that Horus or Metal Devil looks remarkably like the one that we see at the end of Horizon Zero Dawn in the post-credit scene. So I'd be shocked if that wasn't the case. And that's probably where Hades is. I'd love to see a scene of Aloy trying to explain what really happened to Tirsa, or the other matriarchs. Yeah, that would be really, really interesting, because number one, like, the Nora are the extreme other side of the coin, where they just even refuse to acknowledge what's going on in the past because they feel like it's a form of corruption. I think that's very much like the last people you would show would be the Nora. I think the first people that you would show would probably be the Oseram, because they're already under the impression that the world is this great machine that's fallen into disrepair. So I think they would be far more willing to accept it. And then maybe Banuk, Karja, Nora at the bottom of the list. All right. I'm so sorry if I butchered this. Ravine, thank you so much for your Super Chat contribution. Love this. What cultural issues could arise for the remnants of both Shadow and normal Karja if the word that Ursa killed Jiran came out instead of Avad? What would Itamen think? How do you think Itamen is doing generally? That's a really good question. We found this bit of information out in the comics. Like I said, video's coming out next time, and I was luckily able to put that piece of information in the big video. But yeah, in general, that's the thing. I'm not sure if that was a purposeful thing or not. I think that probably to just kind of establish the fact that Avad was the Sun King. They value strength in the Karja. They're very much a monarchy, so you want to start your lead off with a strong, oomph and emphasis. So if you're like, this king felled the old king, the sun is still shining, so obviously the sun has renounced Jiran and accepted Avad. So there's a whole lot of different things that you could kind of contemplate as far as like, hey, I'm not sure if it would have been better served if they knew an Oseram did it, because at that point then they're like, then you have this great animosity towards the Oseram opposed to just kind of accepting Avad. So that is interesting. I think Itamen's probably doing well. I don't think he ever wanted to be in Sunfall or be king. That was definitely an order of Jiran, and I think he's absolutely in the right place. And I'm pretty sure the Shadow Karjas are just on the verge of collapse. I'd be shocked if the next game didn't start off with the reunification of the Karja. Thank you so much for your super chat, Shamal. Hi, RSQ. Congrats on 20K from Israel. Thank you so much. What do you think about the item Eloy finds at Sobek Ranch? Is this item a setup for the second game? What about the second Eloy clone under Ted Pharaoh control? So I think what you're talking about is the little globe that Eloy finds. I really do think that's more symbolic than an actual device, because I think Elizabeth, knowing that she wasn't coming back to Gaia Prime, wouldn't have taken anything of such importance out of that facility, knowing that she's not coming back. She's essentially, having her final days, back home. I think it's very symbolic of like, listen, I healed the world, I took it in my hands, and now this task is being passed on to you. You have the world in your hands to, make it a better place. So I think that's very much of the symbolism behind it, opposed to like if there's like a flash drive. I could be wrong. You could be anything. But I think that was kind of the intended push for it. As far as a Ted Pharaoh clone or another Eloy clone, I doubt it, principally because I don't know how much genetic material there was from Lightkeeper. That could have been the only thing that was able to gestate a copy of Elizabeth Sobek. So, like I said, we're all going to have to find out together, but I would find that to be unlikely. Let's see. Is the Utaru land of the Plain Song, is it part of the Forbidden West or a separate region? I think it's part of the Forbidden West, technically. But honestly, with what we have kind of been redefining where the Forbidden West begins after the Tribes trailer, because it was a pretty long-held belief, from the lore, that the palace and fortress of Sunfall was, after that, the beginnings of the Forbidden West. That's what Basadid said. The lands beyond this are forbidden to the Karja, thus the Forbidden West. But in that trailer, we saw an entire Karja, fortification, kind of what they feel is like at the edge of the Forbidden West. So who established that? Why that got established? We talked about it and speculated a little bit in one of our videos, but it really does depend on where do you feel the Forbidden West begins once we are able to play the game, because I think that definition has changed. So as of now, do I feel like it's west of Sunfall? Yes. Is it going to be west of that Karja outpost that is at the foot of the Forbidden West? I don't know. So I would have to say it's probably in the Forbidden West. Otherwise, it would be in the Karja Sundom, which would be odd for a different tribe. Let's see here. I love how these small Horizon YouTubers are all together and watching each other's streams. Yeah, yeah, that's how we do. We want to make sure that as many people as we can want to, get after it and support Horizon. It's such an underrated community, in my opinion. I look at communities like Destiny or Dark Souls and things like that, where they have a lot of people, kind of getting together and getting excited. If we can do that for Horizon, I want to support as many people as possible, and I'm sure the feeling's mutual. Will there be dragons? That would maybe in the third game, but who knows? We keep seeing new machines all the time, so who knows? There could be a dragon to start dipping into mythology. Let's see here. I wonder if Aloy will be trying to rebuild Gaia and get sidetracked by the struggles of the West. I think, well, obviously, there's this kind of big, there's an elephant in the room where Aloy feels that Hades has been taken off the table, but we know that to not be true. And you do not want to reboot Gaia until Hades is taken care of, because that is a perpetual and looming threat that is facing, the entire world always until it's been fully resolved. So you don't want to bring back Gaia while Hades is still at large, essentially. But Silence knows it is. Aloy maybe less so. So she could start initiating all these systems and then get sprung with this realization that, oh no, Hades is still out there and could do this again potentially. So it's kind of, you don't want to bring, the goal is to bring back Gaia. You got to make sure that Hades is officially, off the table. Let's see here. Random side quest. In the 5-hour screensaver, we saw a settlement of the Karja. Yeah, Barren Light. I did speculate that could be Barren Light. But the kind of tower that we saw in that kind of reveal stream was pretty dilapidated. The structure did look to be under repair in the Tribes trailer. Whether they're the same, it's a definite possibility, but obviously I'm not going to sit here and say it's absolutely this, because I absolutely don't know for sure. Let's see. Can we have a robot dog? I know that's like the dream for everyone. But hey, maybe you can like override a Clamberjaw. Some people love monkeys and some people hate monkeys, but either way, it sounds like at least you can override a robot monkey if you can't have a dog. RSQ, do you think Regala is just Silence with a new name or brand new character? That is an interesting point that I hadn't thought about, because Silence is very much it would be so on brand for him to introduce a piece of technology, form a fanatical splinter cell of an existing tribe, and then have that go totally sideways, right? I mean, that's kind of his thing. So I would not be shocked if Regala ended up being Silence. However, I think he's far more interested in just being in the background and having somebody be a puppet like Helis. So could be, yes, but I do think Regala is probably their own person, but absolutely influenced by Silence at the very least. Shadow Effect Gaming, thank you so much for the super chat. Congrats on 20K. Thank you. Can't wait to see your videos for the new lore Forbidden West. What are your thoughts on Hikaru? I think it will end up being something like Silence, using it for its own means. So we got this kind of weird leak that Hikaru was a character listed on the IMDb for Horizon Forbidden West. And, the options are limitless. The one thing that was interesting is it's in all caps that it was labeled. So either the only things that are labeled in all caps are subfunctions and AIs in Horizon. So it could either, I don't think it's a subfunction, so it could be another AI, probably to the degree or lesser than maybe Cyan, if it's anything, right? I hope it's something. That'd be really cool, because Cyan did mention during the clawback there were a number of different AIs that were out there and existing and doing work. So that's kind of what I think. Sanch5659, thank you so much for your super chat. That's super generous, guys. I appreciate it. Love your videos. Do you think we may see an active Horus? If so, how could we beat it? Or if Eloy override it, would the Pharaoh swarm answer to her? She could then shut them down permanently. So at the end of the game, we do see essentially the Master Override using Minerva again to shut down the swarm. So I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing Pharaoh machines on a mass scale like we could have if Aloy was not able to shut that down. If there is going to be an active Horus, I think they're probably going to save that for a third game, because I think that's just like the most epic boss fight possible. I think you would need overridden machines to take one down. You'd need cannons. That's one that I don't think a bow and arrow is just gonna do. Maybe take like a couple tips from Kratos to try to tackle some massive giant thing. But that would be like multiple tribes banding together to take down what is essentially a metal devil. It is massive, and the amount of destruction it can wrought on a tribal civilization is pretty insane to think about. What I've always wondered about, I think it's pretty weird from a plan perspective that Gaia was able to destroy everything in the prime facility within the main reactor explosion. Well, she controls the whole system, but also, you know, the kill switch is one thing, right? How much Gaia actually has control over is something that I've always kind of pondered about, because there were some aspects of the subfunctions that humans were supposed to take control over. We know that from the lore. So the fact that she was able to initiate self-destruct, I think that they would probably trust that with Gaia more than her ability to exceed control. Like, that's a pretty extreme failsafe, but obviously a necessary one in this instance to preserve life again. So yeah, how much authority she has over Zero Dawn as a whole is very big and impressive, but I'm not sure if it's total and complete. RSQ, do you think that machines get replaced, i.e. would behemoths get replaced by rollerbacks, or would they still stay? Well, they're both transport class machines. I think that it's pretty natural that we're probably going to see some machine types evolve and adapt into different things. We kind of got a hint at that in the comics, where they talk about these kind of like darker, like their armor plating is darker, like they're harder variants of the machines that already exist. I do think that they would still probably have different kinds of machines, really dependent on the topography that they're covering. You have those rollerbacks, in the desert, so kind of like an armadillo feel kind of deal. And I would love to see both of them. They might consolidate them from like a game standpoint. You can only have so many machines, but hey, I'm not in charge of that. I want to be greedy. I'll have as many machines as you'll give me, please, and thank you. How big is the chance that they will include the alpha/black machines? Well, that's what we were just talking about. I think a pretty good chance. It really, at least from a game standpoint, it allows the devs to reskin existing machines and make them harder. And you've already kind of established that. You've laid the groundwork in the lore in the comic book, so I would take advantage of that. And it does pose a different threat than perhaps what we've seen before. And you could run into like a Claw Strider and be like, oh, that's a Claw Strider, and have a totally different experience. So I think it could keep random encounters pretty fresh. Like if you were hunting and gathering resources from like a herd of grazers or something like that, if you do it enough, it almost like summons this alpha machine that you have to take down. So I think that would be a cool mechanic to get even rarer machine parts. Ravine, thank you so much for your super chat. Now it's time for a dumb question. Well, all right. Does blue gleam melt or has undergone a chemical reaction to remain crystallized? That's not a dumb question at all, because we really don't know a ton about blue gleam. And there's another resource that got introduced that we read about in a PlayStation blog. I believe it's called Green Shine. So I think that they're going to be very similar to each other. So that would lend me to believe that it is something that has become crystallized over time. I don't think that it is exclusively the fact that it is just frozen solid. It's probably some kind of chemical reaction that causes whatever it is to be crystallized. But the reason why Banuk holds it in such high regard is because they believe that it is kind of like an encapsulation of the blue light, which they hold as their belief to be like the essence of life itself. But the fact that they're introducing something called, I'm fairly certain it's called Green Shine, as another kind of resource to tap into, like I said, would point to me thinking it'd be more crystalline, because if it's existing in places outside of some places as cold as the cut, it would have to be. And that's a good question, not a dumb question. That's a good question. We need more mounts, says Ramiz. Yeah, well, we're going to get some more, luckily. Looks like we got Claw Striders at the very least. People are riding bristlebacks, so I would be shocked if we weren't able to do that. But yeah, I mean, come on. Get me on the back of a Ravager with the cannon, and I mean, I'm going to be a happy guy. I'd suppose Green Shine is just a copper oxide, and so is blue gleam. I am not a chemist, so that's all I got to say for you. RSQ, you think that the Sundom in Mother's Embrace I would love to have a current game areas in the Forbidden West as well. Like I said, maybe, but I would be shocked. The only game that I've ever really seen that in was Red Dead Redemption 2, and even though they were there, they weren't really full of anything. But man, I wouldn't hold your breath. It would be cool, but I'm not sure if that's the case. Forget Me Not, thank you so much for your super chat. Do you think we'll see any owl or nocturnal machines? I'm not sure if they're going to be exclusively nocturnal. Owl machines would be really cool. I think the new one, as far as the kind of flying machines that we're probably going to be featured heavily, is going to be the Sunwing, excuse me. So I'm not sure if we're going to see any owl machines, but there might be like some machines that are more hostile at night. I don't have no idea what the burrowers are going to do, but I always thought, fighting machines at night is probably the coolest because you get just the lights and the flashes. It's very, very cinematic. Thank you, Mr. Gameatopia. Do you think we'll have more backstory about Rost in Forbidden West through side quests or some characters in Forbidden West? He did travel to the Forbidden West to chase after somebody. He did. One of the 12 Outlanders, he chased all the way to the Forbidden West, and I think that would be a great way to learn more about him. It seems like Rost is very much dead. The devs kind of told us that in the Gaia cast, but to kind of find out like the additional, more firsthand knowledge of like what exactly did Rost do as he cut a path of vengeance through these people who had killed his family, one of which being in the Forbidden West. Yeah, I would love to hear some like this crazy death-seeking Nora like came after this guy, and you're like, oh yeah, that's the guy that raised me. That'd be pretty sweet. I'm all in for that. Stormbird mount, yes, that'd be pretty sweet. I think there was an original build of Horizon where there's supposed to be a flying mechanic, but eventually it got scrapped. Let's see. Would introducing a love interest help or hurt the story / game? Yeah, for me, I know a lot of people wanted those kind of options, but I think the one thing that is so true with Aloy is she is just busy. She is busy. She's got stuff to do. And unfortunately, even if she has feelings for somebody, it's like, listen, thank you very much. I'm very flattered. However, the biosphere is collapsing. Hades is going to raise all these machines and wipe out all life on Earth again. This red blight is killing everything. So I got to put that on the back burner. So I think as much as this is an RPG, it's like, yeah, I'm not sure if there's going to be one in this. RSQ, congrats on 20k subs. Thank you so much there, Chucks, and appreciate your super chat donation. Do you think they will add a romance option? Oh, I'm shipping either Talana or Erend. That's the thing. Maybe they seem to not be very interested in the first game. It would be a shift to add that in the second game, opposed to just kind of stay the course. Thank you. Take my money. The Vanook revere the machines. Do you think a tribe exists that hold machines as actual gods? Speculation on what they'd be like. Potentially, like I said, the machines that we know of so far, or sorry, the tribes that we know of so far, the Vanook hold them in incredibly high reverence. The Utaru, their spirituality revolves more around agriculture from what we know now. That could change. The Tenakth don't seem particularly interested in the machines that much from what we know so far. Like I said, all these will change. Those are two of the videos that I'm going to be looking forward to doing the most coming up. Will be the tribe exploration of the Utaru, the Tenakth, and this new mystery tribe. So I'm very interested in doing that. But as far as ones that actually like worship machines, the Nora hold the belief that there was like a splinter of the tribe that did worship the machines, but then that led to their downfall. So if you want to count that, that's what exists in the lore at this moment. Yeah, Aloy for the next Smash Bros. Game. I'd love that crossover. I'm a Donkey Kong main myself. Kirsty says, she'll get back to you after she saves the world. Yeah, it's like if you could just like take a rain check, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's see here. Some people didn't realize that there was art in the dinosaur looking machines, like purple colored handprints. Yeah, that was an interesting thing. I think that was actually a fallen machine, and I think the Utaru had done something to it. So there could be some kind of reverence that they hold towards the machines. Whether they think they're actual gods or not, that's a different story. E-Mechanism, thank you so much for your super chat. Have you seen the anime Dr. Stone? If so, is it possible the Odyssey landed back on Earth safely before Eleuthia released new humans and survivors multiplied their population for generations, leading to Horizon Forbidden West? I have not seen that anime. I'll have to check it out. That's the thing. It's like the Odyssey is so up in the air as far as what happened to it. Did it actually fail? Was the telemetry falsified? Because there's history, or there's lore that indicates that, this telemetry isn't foolproof. If you look at the story of Bashar Mati and the vantage points, they're not infallible. And the fact that we also glean from the Gaia cast that even though ZD and the Odyssey were working together, they were both really trying to get like the better end of that deal. There was a bit of a rivalry there as well. So how much they would actually dedicate and reveal to Zero Dawn, truthfulness was not guaranteed. So could it have landed back on Earth? Yes. However, that was never the goal, right? It would have had to have landed back on Earth post terraforming so humans could exist. So it would have to be in orbit for potentially centuries in order for that to happen. Thank you, India. What is your opinion on the negative feedback on Aloy's appearance in Horizon Forbidden West? Here's the deal, right? I know that I don't I look different after 6 months of, crazy stuff. For me, in my opinion, it does not bother me. I'm not sure, and we've only seen screenshots and things like that, and some people are like, oh, everything has changed. I don't know. I haven't played the game yet. I'm not sure if that would be distracting. As of now, I haven't found it distracting. And I really haven't noticed it. I do get a laugh out of those memes of Eloy in the sunglasses, though. So if that came from this, then it's not a total loss. Let's see here. Yeah. Love that you're bringing up Bashar Mati, telemetry, and the Odyssey. Yeah, you got to look at all of the pieces because Horizon lore is so interconnected. It's nuts. And I think even more so than we're probably going to get the game. And I know I'm going to be kicking myself because I've always felt like when you look at the lore long enough, you're like, I'm one piece away. Like if I had one thing to tie this all together, I could make it all make sense. But Guerrilla's done a really good job of being like, no, you'll find it out later. It's like, ugh. But of course I'm like, shut up and take my money. We need better underwater combat. In general, in games, I would say yes. That's the thing. I'm not even sure what combat's going to look like underwater. We've seen some kind of like evasion things. I'm not sure what that's going to be limited to. That's the part of the game that's always made me the most nervous because I've never personally played a game where it was done particularly well. My mind instantly goes to the Witcher 3, where you're just kind of floating in the water with your crossbow and you shoot this guy and then you shoot this guy and then the guy bites you and then you shoot that guy. And I love the Witcher 3. That wasn't my favorite part. But in all fairness, I'm pretty sure after a while I was just playing it to be Witcher the Wild Gwent. Because I'm a fiend for that game. Any DLC planned for this game? Not that I know of, but I would probably say yes. Eloy said at Ross' grave that she likes Varl. Varl will be present in Horizon Forbidden West, right? Yes. I think so. I think we in the chat he's been confirmed for the next game. But like I said, I'm not sure if that's going to be a priority for Aloy or the game designers, because girl has stuff to do. In the last Gaia cast, they teased that a former prisoner at Sunstone Rock would be an important character in Horizon Forbidden West. Duran's Kestrels were sent there, so the new character could be an ex-Kestrel. Yeah, that was interesting, because Sunstone Rock is just kind of like an interesting place in general. You find out more about Nil from Sunstone Rock. And the interesting thing about Nil versus the other Kestrels, like they probably had to go out and find the other Kestrels and imprison them, where Nil straight up turned himself in to Sunstone Rock, did his time, and then left and changed his name to Nil. I'm fairly certain that's not even his real name. So I'm interested to see kind of what connection that has, because I did enjoy that quest line, finding out more about Nil, finding those fugitives. It was like the only Tanakh that we really got to interact with in the game. And judging by like how she looks now and what we know about the tribes, she does seem to look like a lowland Tanakh, at least from what I've seen. So I think that's pretty interesting. Either in this game or in the next one, she'll have to fight a Horus. The game teases it all along. I think, yeah, eventually it's going to happen. Not sure if it's going to happen in this game. Thanks, Hork. Yeah, like I said, the mustache. You can't take yourself too seriously, man. And it's you know, I work in a place that I wear a mask, so like nobody knows. Kirsty, crazy theory. What if Rost's daughter is Regala? Oh my gosh. Aaron didn't realize it wasn't Ursa until he had a proper look. Maybe Rost did the same and it was someone who looked like her. Maybe she escaped. That would be pretty nuts. If that happened, that'd be pretty crazy. I think one of the more brutal aspects of the Rost storyline is the fact that they took the hostages just beyond the Sacred Land so they could see what was happening, but they couldn't leave. Then they killed them in front of the Nora and then left their bodies to basically rot. And the first thing that Rost did after becoming a Death Seeker was bring his family back and give them a proper burial. That would be pretty crazy, though. Like Eloy, evil half-sister out there in the Forbidden West. You know, I'm here for it. I'm not sure if it'll happen, but that'd be pretty cool. What are your speculations when Elizabeth said to Ted, I will tell USRC the real cause of the glitch? Yeah, you know, I've always thought, you know, whether it will happen or not, because just like any theory, when you don't have all of the information available to you, you know, you can't kind of dive into it completely and say this is 100% what's going to happen. You know, I've always felt like the Hades transmission or the signal that awoke them had something to do with Hades, like manipulating the system in a way that it would be really hard for Gaia to respond well. You know, but obviously the transmission also awoken the subfunctions in a way that made them self-aware and turned them into essentially AIs. Not like Gaia or Vast Silver or Cyan, but definitely, at least Hades has a Turing level of over 1.0, which would be above standard. So I think that it's, yeah, I have lots of thoughts about it. Watch the other videos, otherwise I'll be, you know, chatting about it all day. Thank you so much, E-Mechanism. How come in HCD we never get a chance to scan Silent's physical body? All in-person interactions with him during cutscenes or Aloy's focus. Because he's full of secrets. That's why. But that is a very interesting point. It's very much... He's shrouded in mystery, right? He's known as like the Dark Wanderer, like amongst many tribes. He's known as he's like a bad omen. But yeah, it's that's gonna be like the first thing I do if I end up if you can do that in Forbidden West. That's a good thought. Mr. Gametopia, thank you very much. One last super chat, maybe. I just love how Horizon Zero Dawn becoming a hit franchise and making Eloy a modern, memorable character next to Kratos for God of War. Oh, I love God of War. All thanks to the dev team and us fans. Yes, and especially with Horizon Call of the Mountain coming out. And I know a lot of people have been asking me to do a video on Call of the Mountain, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. We just don't know a lot. The clip was like 20 seconds long. You know, what I could glean from it was the people that were in the boat with your character looked like they were Karja. And they looked like, I don't really like the term Sun Karja, even though they use it a lot, like Shadow Karja, Sun Karja. For me, it's like Karja and then there's Karja and Shadow. But for our purposes, like Sun Karja, you could see like a little white glove kind of coming up, which is pretty indicative of like Karja guards. And then where you are, if they're in the Karja Sundom, it could be as close as the jungles of the Jewel. But outside of that, there's just not a ton that I saw from that small snippet to kind of dive into what to talk about with Horizon Call of the Mountain. The only thing that I have to think about is getting my hands on a PlayStation VR 2 when it comes out, because the plan is to definitely cover the game because it's part of the Horizon world and we're here for it. Let's see here. I think you can scan silence in Gaia Prime. I'll have to, if somebody's going through a playthrough, could you check that on me? Or could you just get back to me, let me know what that's like? I don't think we even know where Sunstone Grass or Stone's Grasp is, that place the Tall Neck was walking towards. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that we don't know, especially with Call of the Mountain. But I'm so excited that we're going to have a chance to experience this world as somebody. I love Aloy, and she offers us a ton of insight into the old world, but being able to explore it from maybe a person who was just born in the 31st century and is just your normal, not descendant of the Alpha Prime of Zero Dawn. It's just a cool, different take. Any thoughts on the game Strike? I hope it's good. Like I said this a little bit earlier, I kind of got addicted to Gwent. I would just go into The Witcher just to challenge people to play Gwent. Play it on my phone too. So I really hope it's that addictive, because I will play the tar out of those games that are like mini games within games. So judging by the pieces, I don't think it's a card game. I think it's more of like a chess style game, because from the Regala Collector's Edition, you get 2 Strike pieces. So they're not cards. So I think in and of itself, that will be different as well. I think it'll probably be more of a chess style game. RSQ. In one GaiaCast episode, Ben McCaw said that Hades received a hate that was from an external source when the unknown transmission sent the signal to Gaia. I did find that very interesting. Kind of, the question was brought up by one of the community managers, I think it was Annie, that led to this kind of thought process of, are the subfunctions aware that they are causing harm to Zero Dawn systems? And in Hephaestus' case, through its own self-logic, we were kind of enlightened that no, it doesn't. It still feels like it is fulfilling its goal of protecting machines that are serving the Zero Dawn system. So despite the collateral damage, it's still kind of like net positive, keeping the system going. Where Hades is, yes, trying to fulfill its original function, but emotionally it's not just like, I'm doing this because I'm programmed to, but we now found out it's like, I'm doing this because I want to. It's a hateful thing. So how it developed and over time, it's different. It got sent out after Gaia Prime, and where that resentment comes from, I actually have the beginnings of a script laid out as far as where I feel that hate might come from. It's very speculative, obviously, but these are the kind of things I like to explore. So I will be diving into that at some point, hopefully. Let's see here. Wait for a DLC for Forbidden West. It was water-themed area with Poseidon as the main villain, like Hephaestus was to the Frozen Wilds. Could be. Those are 2 subfunctions that we actually know the least about, are Poseidon and Aether. I think we know the identity of all the other alphas, but those 2 in particular we don't know very much about, so I think that they're going to be saved for this one. RSQ, do you think we'll get more information on the 9th MRB? Matthew, I don't know. I hope so. They're really, really cool. I did a video on them a while ago. They're one of the most fearsome mechanized response brigades in Enduring Victory. So definitely deserve their own props. They're pretty awesome. I would love a prequel game or DLC that just features them, like a first-person shooter. Let's see here. Imagine an HZD style chess game. Here for it. Will you be streaming a Let's Play when the game comes out? Asks Silver. That is the plan. I won't be producing lore content for... I'm not going to put a timeline on it, but essentially until I platinum this game. I want to find all of the data points. I want to get as much lore as possible, because if I don't want to be releasing content that I only half understand. But so yeah, in lieu of that, a Let's Play is on the table, Silver. Let's see. Is Ted Pharaoh alive? A lot of people want him to be alive, so they can end him. You know, as far as like being put in a cryopod or their clone running around, I think one of the most frustrating things about Ted is the fact that you're like in the room with him through these holograms when he is explaining these terrible things that he's done. And I think one of the reasons why people hate him so much is because you're there and can do nothing. And I'm not sure if they want to give that up, because it's this feeling of powerlessness. You're like, I'm technically, I'm like here in this room, but it happened so long ago, and all you can do is just witness this comedy of errors that he continues to make that just put the world in jeopardy over and over again. So I'm not sure if he's alive, because I almost think it's more frustrating for people to just have to, watch it unfold and be powerless, Beast AK, congratulations for 20K. Thank you very much, and thank you all very much for making that happen. Do you think Horizon Forbidden West will discuss the mystery of the metal flowers? I do. I think it's tied in with Demeter. We kind of got insight into that with the Frozen Wilds and Cyan. I did a video called Hidden Messages where I kind of talk about what I think the poems might be significant for and what they were foreshadowing in the first game. So, yeah, I think that Metal Flowers will definitely be back. Oh my god, that would be a great name for Horizon content channel. Ask Silver. Oh, right? Like Vast Silver, Ask Silver. We'll see if they're interested. RSQ, what is your favorite food? What is my favorite food? Well, Antonio, it really depends on the mood. After this live stream, I think I'm going to brave the snow and go get some pho, because pho is great on a cold day. But, when it's hot, I'm a pretty adventurous eater, so, I'll eat anything that's tasty. Can someone please tell me how to @ people? I think you just use the @ sign and type it in. But it's funny, I do all this stuff, like, online, but I am, like, very technology. My wife is always astounded at how technologically illiterate I am. Like, if it's Final Cut, I'm good. If I can upload on YouTube, it's great. But other than that, I'm doing my best. Let's see here. I'm excited for Forbidden West. Me too. Yeah, I'm here for it. Let's see here. That's T. WTF was Vast Silver doing on the HoloNet movie forums? Yeah, that's a really interesting bit, because we talk about Vast Silver a fair amount on the channel, because it's this really interesting, it was an AI that preceded Gaia and Cyan, and its sentience was supposed to be way more than was expected, and then it was recaptured a year later after it went rogue. But there is this data point that's essentially people in this chat room on the HoloNet talking about this holo horror series called the Tormented Series, and somebody was in there claiming to be Vast Silver, and they're joking about it. And you could think about that as like, oh, that's nothing. However, the devs put that in. They didn't have to put in just a seed of doubt that Vast Silver is still out there if they didn't want to. So could it be a red herring? Yes, but there was some purpose. They purposely wanted to shed doubt on the narrative that was painted that, yeah, Vast Silver was totally brought back. Maybe not. Cake Assassin, thank you so much for the super chat. Unknown tribe, can they surf machines or have boats? Well, we do know that some tribe in Horizon Forbidden West should have boats. We found that out in the Forbidden West data point. It could be that unknown tribe. I don't know if you can surf machines. That would be great. I'm holding out for a whale shark style machine that's like a purifier. That would be amazing. Ravine, if you could meet any alpha other than Sobek, who would it be and why? And what would be your first question to ask them? Man, that is a really, really good question. I think probably the most fascinating one, and we don't know a ton about her, is Captain Ayomide Akilo. She was the alpha of Minerva, the subfunction charged with shutting down the swarm. But before that, she was a veteran of a lot of human-robotic conflicts pre-Zero Day. So I think just out of like a purely, what's the word I'm looking for, academic discussion, I think she would have a lot of, and perhaps maybe a different perspective than a lot of the alphas, because outside of just being an academic, she was on the front lines, fighting these robotic war fleets. So the life experience there of like, and the question would be just like, what was that like? Like, how did warfare change in such a way when automation took over and yet you were still there? So I think Captain Ayomide Akilo would be the alpha that I spoke to. Even though I think Travis Tate would be the one that I'd probably want to have a beer with. Let's see here. That's the Unknown Tribe, definitely inspired by Peloponnesians. Okay. RSQ, what appeals to you more, the lore of the old ones or the lore of the new world? That is a really good question, Chris Brown. There's just, man, it really, all of it appeals to me. I think some of the most interesting lore comes from the formation of the tribes, because it's a really kind of interesting sociological experiment of like the formation of the Karja, right? How very much it began with a man who read a book that told him how to navigate with the sun. And over the centuries, from what was a very technical and scientific, breakthrough and use as a skill, became this mysticized thing, as the ancestors of Ahriman are now the speaker of the sun. So how the tribes formed, I think, is wildly interesting, and what the thought process that the devs put into that, and how the different tribes see the world and then make their decisions based on, what they're seeing, I find to be fascinating. But I also am really interested in, artificial intelligence is a huge part of Horizon. So talking about like things like the clawback and the die-off, and I would love to know more about the AIs that also were helping kind of reverse the damage done in the 2030s. So all that would be super interesting. I also saw in the comments somebody talked about Samina Abaji being really interesting to talk to, and I think she would also be fascinating. Forget Me Not, will Minerva be a hidden or unknown ally in Forbidden West? That's a subfunction that we really haven't encountered a lot outside of dealing with the transmission array on the Elite. I think that when it comes to Minerva, it's the subfunction that's been almost indefinitely suspended for the longest, because it had to do its job first. So post 50 years after 0 Day, where it did its job, it really hasn't had to do anything since then. So what it could be up to, what it would want to be up to if given some degree of sentience, is interesting. A lot of the subfunctions that we've seen that have completed their role have been, at this point, pretty inactive, right? We don't hear a lot from the Artemis subfunction. It released Phase 1 organisms, it did its job. Minerva, it deactivated the swarm, it did its job, that's fine. And they're not really being impacted by humans that much. So a lot of the stuff that we're seeing from the subfunction behavior, in my opinion, comes from, are humans messing it up? And if the subfunctions aren't being messed up by humans, then I think that overall, they're probably maybe not they could be an ally, but definitely not as hostile as something like Hephaestus or Hades. There's also a big obsession with the sun from the kids in Aletheia 9. Yeah, some of them, right? That there were many that were eager to leave. There were some that were wanting to stay. And, the ones who left, they became all the other tribes. And while the Nora stuck around, and here they are. Let's see here. Are we going to meet Star King in Horizon 3 New Dawn? Sun King, Star King. Who knows? They sound fabulous. Who else is replaying to get hype for the new release? I would love to hop back in a little bit more. That would be pretty cool. RSQ, what would you like to see improved in the open world? Like anything in open world that I enjoy, I love stumbling across random things. I love stumbling across just random encounters or pieces of lore and things like that. So if you could make random encounters fighting machines a little bit more intriguing, like we talked a little bit about, like if you're going after too many machines at once, summoning like, a dark armored machine or one of these alpha machines, I think would be a really good way to diversify the combat, because now it's like you called down the thunder and now you got it. So now you got to deal with that. Have you considered doing a lore video about Eloy herself? Says Eccentric Gentleman. I have. It's just her story is so intertwined with everything else, and I think that as far as like what most people experience, we probably know the most about Eloy. And I think essentially, if you're making a lore story about Eloy, you're doing a story recap. Her self-discovery, talking about the Lightkeeper Protocol. And I just want to bring this up again. Patient Wolf did a story summary of Horizon that I feel is criminally underrated. So I would highly recommend that, because it really does take the time to really dive into Aloy's journey specifically. You know, when I set out to do my video, it was very much a chronological timeline of Horizon, where only the last third of it really has anything to do with Eloy, and trying to balance out like what's essential, so this video isn't 7 hours long. But I would highly recommend his video, especially when it comes to Eloy. Let's see. Antonio, what about more dungeons, cauldrons were just okay? Yeah, just adding more diversifying elements of encountering machines. I think that'd be pretty cool. RSQ, my boy, why don't you make videos about other open world games? Well, I wouldn't consider God of War to be an open world game, even though the last one is definitely more open world than any of the ones that came before. I did make a couple of videos on that. I would love to make more videos on God of War, except their photo mode is just, I'm not going to lie, it really frustrates me. And it's only a me problem, because I do these these long panning shots in the background to try to make things, and their photo mode is just really sticky. It's not good for that. So I get frustrated about it. But I was thinking about doing it for Ghost of Tsushima, but I really like the lore of Horizon. Isn't just good because it's well thought out, but there's so much mystery behind it, right? You can talk about like all the things that could happen and could get brought up. So as far as like other open world games, and I also want to make sure that what I'm speaking about I know a fair amount about, right? I've played Skyrim like four or five times over, but that lore is starts long before then, right? So as far as like covering I definitely play other open world games, and I might stream them, but as far as like wanting to make sure that you guys get the most trustworthy lore sourcing, that's where I feel comfortable is Horizon, and that could change in the future, but for right now, really focused on Horizon. Like I've thought about Elden Ring and things like that, but being that their release dates are so close, it's Horizon. Thank you, Dayeli Ramirez, for popping in. Crazy Kit, random side quest. In light of PlayStation movie announcements, do you think there will be a Horizon movie? I would be shocked if there wasn't at this point, just because there's a lot of money to be made. I would be, just like anything that is a video game movie, like a movie adapted from a video game, I just pray that you don't ruin it, right? Like, I love Monster Hunter, and if you know where I'm going with this, it's like I love Monster Hunter, and the Monster Hunter movie came out, and I was like, oh well, the monsters look cool, but it's like, this isn't Monster Hunter. What's going on? Like, you could have just made an awesome Monster Hunter movie. Man, but yeah, it's so anytime a game is adapted to a movie, I'm very hesitant when that happens. I would much rather have Horizon, if you're gonna transport it into that kind of media, give it the Witcher treatment, right? Make it be like a Netflix series or an Amazon Prime series, so you can really let the story breathe, because it's a lot to put in 2 hours, yeah, I would say it would be much better served as a mini series or a series that you could kind of dive into, opposed to just being like, let's make a movie about it. There's just a lot to cover there. There's a lot to cover, and I think if you're going to, I'm not even convinced that you should, because I think the medium it's in is perfect. But yeah, I think that would be the best. Let's see. You are also on Joe Raptor videos whenever I see you. All right. Let's see here. I would love a movie. Yeah, if it's good. if it's good. Did you try to speedrun HCD? I am not a speedrunner. In fact, I would probably say I'm the opposite of a speedrunner. I think that's that's like the one thing that is almost it's like I saw like a video where they had the person who climbed El Capitan and Free Solo do like a rock climbing challenge with the speed rock climbers. Like what I do is so different. it's so methodical I should try one day to see what it's like. But I'm definitely one of those people who has to look behind like every corner of every room to see something. My wife is even more severe about that. Like the map has to get filled out. So that's kind of how we game. Games are better in series format than movie. I think you just have more time to explain things and generate intrigue. RSQ, do you think that the Tenakth in one of the wallpapers riding the Claw Strider is Regala or Alva? That's a good question. I know Joe Raptor talked a little bit about, like in the original game art that has like Talana and Eloy with the spear. It looks all pretty. There is Tenakth riding. And my thing is it could be, or it could just be a Regala Rebel. I don't know how they're kind of keeping this stuff close to the vest. Like I remember seeing, or even how much they have fleshed out of the modeling when that came out, where like I remember in the original Horizon trailers, like that whole scene with Helis when you're on top of All Mother Mountain, that's just an Eclipse cultist, right? So it wasn't Helis at the time. So how much is actually let on in that trailer and in the art? You know, it's kind of up to them to see how much they actually follow through with that. Horizon Zero Dawn, series. I think we're all on the same page on that one. The only downside of that would be you're probably not going to get any of Ashley Birch's wonderful performance in that. But it's kind of like sometimes you got to hand it off to a different person. Let's see. Have you played Hyperlight Drifter? It has a very interesting and mysterious lore as well. I haven't. It does look beautiful. I should probably give that a try. I would love to see a comic book series based on the Ross story. Jake Leslie, yeah, that would be amazing. If that was the next series of Horizon Comics, I would be thrilled. That would be awesome. Would love to see a strategy game like Age of Empire enacting Operation Enduring Victory. That'd be cool, because I have played the Horizon board game, and it was very fun, but it does take place in the 31st century, so that would be pretty sweet. RSQ, do you have a theory about the Red Blight? Yes. I have a theory about all the things in the game. Whether I feel super confident about them and different ones is a different story. I do feel that the Red Blight does have to do with Demeter, but I think it's far less about it going rogue and more about it being manipulated by something else, kind of like what we saw happen with Cyan. Because for my money, I think Demeter's been trying to warn us about what's going on. If you watch my Hidden Messages video, it goes into kind of the poetry of the first game, foreshadowing the events of Forbidden West. So for my money, I really do think that Demeter is on our side. I could be wrong, obviously, but I think that it's Demeter being manipulated against its own interest, right? Because a lot of people think it's like, well, people are killing plant life and all that stuff. Well, the Red Blight is killing everything. Red Blight's killing plants too, and the last thing Demeter would want to do is harm plant life. It's directly in opposition to its base functionality. So I do think its systems are being manipulated to then damage the surrounding areas by something. I'd love to play Rost's story, to be honest. Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. RSQ, could Regala be a clone? An alpha, maybe even Sobek? Yeah, a lot of people will have been talking about this Eloy clone thing. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case. I think if it's somebody, it's probably somebody who's able to be manipulated by Silence. So you're probably not talking about somebody who has a ton of knowledge about the ancient world. You're really tapping into probably some kind of dissatisfaction with members of the Tenakth, and here comes Silence like, hey, listen, look at this, boop, because talk about changing the power dynamic of a tribe. If you introduce the ability to override machines to even a small faction, you've changed everything, right? That's what allowed the Eclipse to have such a devastating effect on Meridian, because before then, they were essentially in the losing final moments of the Carja Civil War until Silence comes around and is like, listen, here's the buried shadow. Here's all these shadows you can dig up. And with them, you have an actual, real, legitimate shot to take Meridian. So, I think something has to be happening with the Tenakth that allowed Silence to seize this opportunity to say, listen, I need something and I will give you this in return. Let's see here. What is your favorite character? Oh, an HCD. That is a hard question. I'm a big fan of Aratak. I think he's really, really awesome. Man, love Petra. I think she's really great. I'm really happy that she'll be coming back. And especially learning more about, but even in the comics, I think my favorite character might be Ursa. She's so, awesome, but also very dark and conflicted. So I think she's a very deep character that we got to see a lot more of in the Liberation arc. But at the end of the day, I think that, hard times can make kind of hard people. So I found her to be fascinating in the comics. I wish we got to see more of her in the game. So one of those three, probably. Let's see here. RSQ, are the tribes of the West also from the same cradle, or did other cradles also work? I think the Tenakth and the Utaru come from Eleuthia 9. I think that's what we were led to believe from the Gaia cast, was that the tribes that we know of came from Eleuthia 9. No telling about this mysterious tribe that we know nothing about. Let's see here. RSQ, which Tenakth faction do you think Regala branched from if they came from the Horus? I think they'd be Desert Tenakth. Their face paint seems similar to the Desert Tenakth ones. That's the thing. I'd love to kind of dig into that more when the game comes out. Their color palette is pretty bright and vibrant, which I've seen Lowlands pretty light, vibrant like that. But like you said, geographically, desert would make sense. Or, it could be a mix, right? You could find disenfranchised Tenakth from all the clans and be like, listen, let's go. I think that's definitely a possibility. What are the odds of Aratak making a return? I would say low. I think he's pretty attached to the Banuk clans of the Cut. I'm not sure how much Banuk we're going to get in this game, actually. They're pretty far. They're like the Nora, I'm not sure how much Nora we're going to get in this game either. What is your favorite monster that has been released in Horizon Forbidden West? Favorite machine. I really think that the Tide Ripper is super cool. I think Plesiosaur is a super awesome, are they dinosaurs if they're aquatic? Anyway, but yeah, I would have to say the Tide Ripper. I hope we find a mirror for him. Oh, for Gildan. Oh, that poor guy. Everybody, that's a hidden faction who really likes him. He was pretty cool. Random side quest. The Tenakth use old military commands in their language and even have some sort of ruin. Yeah, there's a lot of nuance that can't wait to dive into, right? One of my favorite things, I was really happy that I waited to do my Banuk video until after the Frozen Wilds came out, because there's just so much, even beyond data points. You can go through Song's Edge and listen to a Banuk shaman basically walk you through the entire story of Banu Kai. And I'm pretty sure that guy is actually, oh my gosh, how am I blanking this out? From Critical Role. Oh, man. Liam O'Brien. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that guy was Liam O'Brien, which was awesome. Big critter, too. But yeah, so I think just being able to walk through the camps, you're just going to glean so much information from them. So yeah, it's hard for me to speak with a lot of authority on that until I get into all the details. Random side quest. Do you think it's possible Aloy will have any run-ins with other Seekers or Death Seekers she has never met before? That is an interesting thought. Nora Seekers are typically pretty rare, but there could be one. I think that would be a really nice way to have a Nora in this game, like somebody who's been seeking for a really long time, and they kind of cross paths, and you're like, oh, you're a Nora too. That's wild. I hope so. E-Mechanism 85. How scary / cool would it be to battle a huge Kraken-like machine while on a boat out in the open water? I think you said it. It would be cool / horrifying, because you'd probably die. Maybe by a second random second. Yeah, Liam O'Brien. He's pretty great. Do you think that the Forbidden West will either fight with a scene showing a Horus awakening? Like I said, I'm pretty sure that's going to be like a third game thing. I would say it for the third game. RSQ ready for Legend of Vox Machina. So excited. You have no idea. I definitely was a Kickstarter backer on that. No, I guess there will be only two Eloy, and I forgot her name, Mary something. I don't know what's going on there. Is it possible there could be an underwater tribe? I think you'd have to have a lot of technology available to you to make that happen. But you are dealing with 2060 stuff, so I'm not sure. I think definitely coastal. I'm not sure if there's going to be a lot of underwater, actual like a tribe living there, like the Gungans. Do you think Forbidden West PC port in 2022? I wouldn't hold your breath. I'd probably say 2023 if there's going to be one. Actually, I wonder why Rost asked to be made a Death Seeker and not a Seeker. Is it because Seekers have to be sent the matriarch request rather than a member? I think it's just because the reason why he was going, he wanted to preserve his spirit and leave it with All Mother knowing what he was about to do. So I think that's probably the reason why. He had no intention of coming back. This is one reason to live. I know a lot of people are talking about cauldrons. Yeah, new cauldrons. I would love to see a underwater cauldron. I think that would be really, really cool because, you have these big underwater machines, and we've seen the Tide Ripper on land, but there may be some machines that are not amphibious like that. So kind of like a coastal underwater cauldron, I'd be super in for that. Let's see. Thank you, Channel Appa. Man, 2:31 a.m. Beast. Do you think the truth Aloy has learned about the world will ever be revealed to the other tribes, and what effect would it have on them? Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier. Even if it was totally revealed, I would be super surprised if everybody got on board. I think you would have people who are in power and, came to power with this kind of tribal structure in mind, trying to hold on to that as much as possible. It's like, listen, you're not actually the Speaker of the Sun. You're just a descendant of a guy who read a book. You'd have some people who would not want to see people kind of learn that information, and some people who would readily accept it, and some people who would, reject it without even taking a look. So I think if it became available to everyone, it would be massively dividing, even more divided than the tribes already are. Take that for that's not a good or bad thing. I just think that's what would happen. RSQ, what if Regala is creating an army to fight back against the mysterious tribe that might threaten them? Ooh, secret, you think they're the enemy, but actually they're the hidden ally, Regala. That'd be pretty cool because, Silence is out there. That's the thing. It's like Silence isn't... I don't view him as a villain from a traditional sense. I just view him as wildly self-interested and self-serving. And no matter what or who it has to be kind of sacrificed in that pursuit, he'll end up doing that. I don't think his goal is to ever to go out there and, hurt people. I think he's just completely ambivalent if that happens. It's like, that's just collateral damage. It's whatever, whatever is the easiest way for me to get to that point. So I don't think that he's necessarily out to, make the Tenak's life harder by doing this. I just think he's trying to make his life easier. I think some tribes somewhere may know a bit more about reality. Yeah, it really depends, right? when you left your cradle, what were your first indications of what the world was around you? Because you don't have any context for the world around you, so you have to just kind of make these broad stroke assumptions about what happened, right? So if you had a tribe that found a focus early on instead of a book, that could have informed an entirely different culture, from the root. So that's one of the most interesting things about the formations of the tribes. Like, what you stumble upon really directly impacts your entire belief system, because then these records and stories, and they become your myths and legends and your truth. And yeah, all it would take was for somebody like Eloy to stumble into a ruin, find a focus, and then you have an entire tribe that is completely on board with what's happening. It doesn't take much, but it is a very specific scenario that has to happen. Yeah, I hope you guys have avoided spoilers, because there's some big ones out there. Yeah, like I said, I won't be going into any leaks because I haven't looked at them. I'm also trying to avoid them as much as possible. So yeah, I want try if we could try to keep them out of the comments as well. I think we're all here to just talk about what we've officially been given as information. Yeah, Silence is chaotic neutral. Yeah, his alignment ain't shifting anytime soon. Why did they call the name Horizon, and where did it and did they confirm it will be a trilogy? I think I think it's planning on being a trilogy. I heard that somewhere. It's funny. One of the things that I found very interesting in the Gaia cast, and that I'm going to put in my next video highlight, is the fact that I'm not sure as far as Horizon, but Zero Dawn was actually supposed to be the name of the eclipse. That was like the original name of the cult, was Zero Dawn. But then the eclipse and kind of like blocking out the sun's light worked so perfectly, but they loved the name Zero Dawn. They're like, oh, let's not use that there, but let's not take it ever. Let's just make it the title of the game. So I'm not sure where Horizon came from, but I can tell you that's the original story from Zero Dawn. So that was a really cool thing. Do you think they will find Ted Pharaoh's facility Thebes, maybe even use the tech, possibly to rebuild Gaia in the future? That's one of my low-key like wish list things, is to be able to find Thebes, which is the personal bunker of Ted Pharaoh post Zero Day. So yeah, I really, really, really hope so. Yeah, I thought that was interesting too, Kirsty. Okay, so sorry, that one had to do with spoilers. I want to make sure I just didn't announce it, but that's good news. Colton Brown, will you do a giveaway for Horizon Forbidden West? I don't know at this time. Are we going to see Horizon in space soon? I think there will be things about Horizon that come from space. Whether Eloy will be going full Jeff Bezos up there is yet to be seen. I would probably say no. Let's see here. Yeah, I confirmed it at work. Horizon 2 and Horizon 3 are both greenlit by PlayStation. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it was such a runaway success for the first one. If this one ends up making a lot of money for PlayStation Studios, I can't imagine how they'd be like, nah, 2's good. No more money for us. Let's see here. Well, let's go back a little bit. Do you think we'll get the location/name of the third game in Forbidden West like we did in Zero Dawn? Yeah, with Horizon Forbidden West. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like they love to leave these little crumbs. I'll just make a bunch of blanket assumptions, and then I can go back and say, see, I said it there. So I'll just throw a bunch of like data point names out there. Horizon, Vast Silver, or something. Tyler Boyce. Or in Utah somewhere. Keep in mind the Great Salt Lake was pretty much ignored in the first game. That's true. Yeah, it's like where we understand the Forbidden West to be is Sunfall to the Pacific, right? So anything in between there is kind of fair game. Yeah, in Gorilla Screenshots, Shield Weaver armor had its lights off. What now? Yeah, I have heard a lot of like, do you think we'll start the game with the Shield Weaver armor? If that is the case, I can't imagine it's going to be very strong, right? You're starting the game off. You're going to be weak as all get out. Probably not going to be able to have any of your weapons. Something will happen. Hopefully there's like a story device that they can use to be like, here's the reason why you don't have all your stuff. But yeah, a lot of people are like, do you get to keep your things? I would so highly doubt it. Random side quest. What area of the United States do you want to see Horizon 3 take place in? Well, that's the thing. I'm not even sure if it's going to be the United States. Like, especially if you're introducing like sea travel and things like that. A lot of, I kind of, in a previous live stream, this idea got brought up to me, and I really like it, where, you have the first game, Horizon Zero Dawn, which is where the Pharaoh Plague kind of ends, right? This is where humanity's last stand is. Then you have Horizon Forbidden West, where it's one of the theaters where Enduring Victory was at its height of defense. And then potentially if you went to like the South Pacific for the last game, in the Timor Sea, which is where the glitch started, you kind of have this nice trilogy of the plague and its development across the planet. So if you could find a way to get there, that'd be pretty cool. Or, you go to Canada. That'd be pretty cool too. Everything is the frozen wilds. Let's see, forgot about this stream. Hi, Chili. Thank you, Sushi Chef. Ooh, sushi sounds good too. Somebody asked what my favorite food is. Sushi's up there. Let's see here. I think you will have to use the Shield Weaver intro for the glider. Yeah, they do seem like similar technologies for the little shield wing, and similar technologies to what we see with the Shell Walker. Man, keeping all these machine names in my head. Like, I have to watch the videos over again because I keep just subconsciously saying Snap Maw instead of Shell Snapper. Like, I have to go back. I'm like, that's not a Snap Maw. That's just Ugh. And that happens infinitely too. If you ever see, oh man, watching my voiceover, my poor wife has to deal with that all the time. It's just me going like, nope, nope. Let's see here. Horizon, Kansas Dawn. Hey, the Wichita Salient, man. That's a big one in the Horizon lore. Do you think we will learn about the causes of the glitch? I do. I think that's going to be one of those things that gets revealed in this game. Because, we don't know what it is this game. We hopefully will know what it is in this game, so that way we can figure out how to fix it in the last game. I think that would be a pretty natural arc. She sells Snap Maws and Shell Snappers by the seashore. Oh God, yeah, I feel like that's like my life. That's RSQ, what if the Red Blight was originally a terraforming organism first made during the die-off to produce nitrates or other minerals in the soil? Then Demeter could have revived it as a retaliation. Yeah, there's a lot about the clawback that we don't know. There's, we learned about the nanotech construction industry, but also it's funny that was another thing kind of brought up in the Gaia cast of why robotics became kind of the solution to the world's problems, because the other kind of areas that would naturally progress were purposely limited, right? AI sentience was, at the forefront, and then it got derailed by what happened with Vast Silver. And so the progress of artificial intelligence was slowed for a time because of those regulations from the MIE. And same with nanotechnology. Even though nanohaze is something that we hear about a lot with the Pharaoh Plague, you don't see a lot of nano construction until later in the clawback, where, and even then there were disasters like at the Citarum River where in Indonesia, we find out that this nanotech disaster where a bunch of people inhaled nanites and caused, thousands to become incredibly sick, and I'm sure many died. So that's why robotics kind of came to the forefront there. But as far as getting back to the original question, which I think I may have just totally blew past, and I apologize if that's the case. Kind of got on my own kick there. But, when you're talking about kind of any technology in Horizon, all of it's going to be pretty advanced. Sorry, I think I went off on a tangent. I'm so sorry if I didn't answer your question. I noticed we didn't get to see the Utaru settlement, only their fields. Yeah, we'll kind of see what that looks like. They had a really checkered history with the Karja and the Red Raids. They're known as mostly peaceful, but we do know they have the ability to defend themselves. In the comics, they talk about a number of them being really skilled archers. In the Gaia cast, they talk about like a group of Utaru mercenaries that were supposed to go after Uthid. So even though they're mostly peaceful, there is kind of an indication that at least some of them are able to defend themselves. So their architecture is probably going to reflect a more peaceful way of life, but there could be some watchtowers and things like that. All right, guys, I would say we got about 15 more minutes of our live stream here. We're coming up on the 2-hour mark. I got to tell you, it's flown by, though. You guys have been asking some really awesome questions. Can we ride Sunwings? I think the compromise that we got is the shield glider. Don't you think we need a better word than excitement? Not be able to sleep, especially at night before. Yeah, just like fever pitch. Just it's gonna be pretty crazy. And it's crazy to think that it's coming out next month, which is crazy. Yeah, today's the 15th, right? So almost just a month out, which is pretty nuts. Where do we learn Vast Silver's name? Because I haven't actually found the name myself. You find it in it's a data point about the Touring Act. Is the first one you find it, and then the other one is from a Hollow Horror thread from a chat room, and that data point I think is only like a date. It doesn't even have a name. I think it's just a date. Sorry, the sunshine is shining in my eyes. Touring Act criticized, I think, is the data point that Vast Silver is most prominently featured in. And also there's one where Anita Sandoval talks about it from the Frozen Wilds. She mentions it very briefly about like the mistakes that she doesn't want to make with Cyan that were made with Vast Silver. So I think those are the 3 data points that feature Vast Silver. Whew, had a little smoke coming out of my ears on that one. What other animals do you think we'll see in the Forbidden West, if any? That's the thing. Artemis, it depends on, is Artemis taking the role of repopulating more of the planet's fauna than it was originally intended to? Because there was a lot of Charles Ronson's plan that involved educated humans being able to be better stewards for the natural world, and they would inevitably, post-Apollo education, take control of the terraforming system as far as Artemis is concerned, and they would reintroduce new animal life. So it really does just as depend if Artemis has decided to take the reins for itself, or if it's even capable of doing that. But I think we'll definitely see at the very least more biome-specific creatures. Probably still not any big predators, but, like we saw hermit crabs and things like that you wouldn't see in Colorado or Utah. All right. Will the game go gold? I hope so. Freeman, RSQ, do you think that the Nora will play a part of the story of Horizon Forbidden West? I can't see any situations besides running into Nora exiles, right? Or we kind of talked a little bit about the possibility of Nora seekers, and hopefully finding more out about Rost in the Forbidden West. Also, cats. We need cats. You don't really see dogs in the Forbidden or in the Horizon universe either, which I know is a big sticking point for a lot of people. I'm a dog person myself. If Vast Silver is still active, probably. How do you think Eloy will interact with it? I would say probably similarly to Cyan. I am of the opinion that I would love to see Vast Silver be an ally, but I think, honestly, Vast Silver may be the big bad of the whole thing. I have to run to a meeting, but thank you so much for this Q&A, RSQ. As always, I look forward to more of your content in the future. Thank you, Tyler Boyce. Appreciate you being here. Have a good meeting. Hopefully they talk about Horizon. Doubt it, but I'm putting it out there for you. What sub-function would you want to fight most? Ooh, what sub-function would I want to fight most? So yeah, I guess we've already squared off against Hades and Hephaestus. I'd say in Forbidden West, probably Poseidon. I think whatever that thing is going after, if it is going rogue, that'd be pretty cool. Do we know where the signal came from? Unfortunately, we do not. I did a couple videos speculating on it, as far as like the Masters video that I put out. Glitch in Transmission was another one that I made. Hades and the Unknown Transmission. Yeah, I've speculated a lot on that one, as well as far as, also other people's speculation. Those were just the ones that kind of I thought of. Some people think it came from the Odyssey, or some people think, clone of Ted Pharaoh or something like that. So, yeah, I think that overall, that is, at least in my opinion, the mystery that makes me ponder the most about the game. Let's see here. Will the incoming space entity ruin the story? Like those 3 stars? I think that has something to do with the Odyssey. The Fornston, bro, that mustache is epic. Thank you. I'm might as well, right? You just gotta, do crazy stuff every once in a while. The ocean controls the weather. That does have a big part of it. Let's see here. Random side quest. Do you think Vast Silver will be the Ultron of this world and just feels like humanity can't be left to their own? I think Vast Silver, and I mentioned this in that video, if the glitch and the transmission, like the glitch that started the Pharaoh Plague and the transmission that awoke Gaia subfunctions, are the same, I think the only real possible thing that could have done both is Vast Silver, right? You have an AI who's capable of potentially messing with the Pharaoh machines just enough not to control them, but to make them malfunction to cause a global extinction. You also have, something along the lines of an entity that could exist throughout the ages, much like Cyan, that could be responsible for the transmission as well if its attempted extinction didn't stick the first time, and it can exist without humans, right? It is an inorganic entity, so it can continue without anything. So I just think Vast Silver would be a really good kind of villain. It would make sense. Let's see here. Do you think Horizon Forbidden West will have the same level of surprises and unexpected moments like Zero Dawn? I certainly hope so. I can only hope. The mustache is the truth behind the glitch. You found me out! Yes, that's it. Are you interested in writing your own fanfic? In a way, I have. There's a project that I've had on the back burner for a long time. I'm very big into D&D. I love D&D. So if I could kind of do something along those lines, so less of like a fan fiction, but more of like a campaign that I could stream or something like that, would be really, really awesome. Do you take some days off to play Horizon Forbidden West? I took the whole week off. I think I'm at least going to take the day when it comes out to do that. Let's see here. I think Karja would go Gaga for cats. Yeah, I see they got kind of like an ancient Egyptian vibe to it. I feel that. Guerrilla Games are taking break from Horizon Forbidden West. They will make Killzone 5-6 for now. I don't know about anything about their schedule. I know they got Horizon Call of the Mountain on the back burner, so we'll have to see what goes on there. I don't think Vast Silver went to the spaceship and made it look like it was not there to have a place to hide. Yeah, it could have taken over the Odyssey. There's just, Vast Silver is such a interesting entity that we know so little about, really. But it had such an impact on future AIs and how the world, went through those kind of things. And, AI sentience. So even though we don't know much about it, its impact was widely felt. RSQ, have you ever considered trying out Warframe? It's very sci-fi, but I think that you would find the overarching story interesting, and the frames are pretty. I have heard of Warframe. I haven't played it. I used to play quite a bit of Destiny until Destiny 2 came out, and then I'm not going to hate on it. It sounds like it's getting better now, but that's one of the things that started me off on my kind of lore journey, where people like My Name is Bife and Mylan Games, and then RSQ, are you humming the Halo theme? Always. It's so catchy. All right, we got about 6 minutes. What else have we got? Do you think Gaia is more capable than Vast Silver? I do. I think that Gaia was designed to purposely break all records of sentience. Dr. Sobek talks about that. She's like, screw the MIE. I don't care. We're going to spin this up at like 1 baseline, and then we're going to see how far we can take it. Do you think we will get DLCs in the first year of launch? I do. I think that we'll probably get one. Vast Silver might be completely innocent. Absolutely. Like I said, low key, I really hope Vast Silver is an ally. I think they're setting it up to be a villain. Destiny and Warframe have similar gameplays, so you'd like Warframe, I think. Yeah. RSQ, I've always imagined Vast Silver like Roland from Halo 4, but red. RSQ, do you think that Guerrilla will ever do a Horizon remaster? Potentially. I think once enough time passes, they could do the Bethesda treatment and just release Horizon like 7 times. I think, honestly, though, for a game that is PS4, I think it still looks remarkably good. Everything besides the facial animations pre-Frozen Wilds. I don't know what was going on there, but yeah, they're a little weird. I love the game, but I'm willing to accept the quirks and stuff as well. Scrappers are basically hyenas. Yeah. Do you think Vast Silver will help us rebuild Gaia? Like I said, hopeful, but doubtful as well. What if the signal came from space? Then you're probably talking about the Odyssey. The one thing that I hope isn't the answer is like, ooh, it's just aliens. I think they could do better than that. I think they've put a lot of lore in there that could explain some things. Hey, RSQ, do you think we will be able to go to Elizabeth Sobek's ranch in Horizon Forbidden West? I think there might be a good chance that's where the game starts. Being that that's where Eloy kind of ends her journey, I think that it would be pretty cool to be able to do that. And I've also seen people kind of hack their way on the PC to it as well. So if you really want to, you can go do that. Random side quest, have I played Red Dead Redemption 2? Yes. I've played Red Dead Revolver, Red Dead Redemption, and Red Dead Redemption 2, and they are all great. Is there a character you'd like to see get a comic if they did a third story? Yeah, we talked a lot about it a little bit earlier. I think Rost would be amazing. I think his story is so good. Out of tea. That lasted for 2 hours, though. That's some pretty good tea. Hi, everyone. What are we discussing here? All things Horizon. What do you think Aloy having mines as a new trap? I think that was interesting. They look a lot like the Scorcher mines, which were pretty cool to be able to take that component off. So to be able to use that yourself, I think would be pretty awesome. Spider-Man new game 2026. The title is Spider-Man Aloy Morales. Give her some Venom Punch powers. That'd be pretty sweet. Let's see here. Do we know who made VS? We think that Anita Sandoval, who helped made Cyan, was probably involved in that project. I would not be shocked at all if Elizabeth had her hand in that project as well, being that it was a clawback effort. So I think you'd have probably a lot of people who were in the field of AI who came together for that, had that happen, and then those would be the same people who probably helped create Gaia. So a lot of the alpha, beta, and gamma personnel that helped make Gaia, I would probably assume were also on the Vast Silver project. How long does it take to make a lore video on average? That's a good question. It really depends on what I'm talking about. Lore bites might take a couple days. Full videos might take a week, because you're talking about writing the script, doing the research, doing the game capture, doing the voiceover, doing the edit, and then the upload, and of course the thumbnail. So yeah, that's about how long I would say it takes. But I do like to take my time with it. I don't want anything to be rushed because I try not to get things wrong. Inevitably it happens every once in a while, and luckily people point it out in a very supportive and matter-of-fact way, and I try to pin corrections in the comments when they happen. Yeah, I'd probably say between a couple days and a week, unless you're talking about the last video I put out, and that was like 6 months. I wanted to call my newborn daughter Aloy. My wife was about to go Hades on me. It's like, you will not call our entity Aloy. Let's see here. Oh, Kubota, thank you so much, Random Side Quest. You are so welcome. And as we kind of wrap this up, like, for real, the reason why we're here talking about this stuff and the reason why we're all able to do this together is because you guys decided to click that button to take a chance on a small channel who's just trying to get all that Horizon goodness out to everybody. And hopefully, it just keeps on going, right? We have so much to look forward to in Horizon Forbidden West. I am just so excited to be able to take this journey alongside all of you guys, because the way this started for me in my journey on YouTube was I was looking for a Horizon YouTube channel, and as one purely dedicated to the lore didn't exist. So I was talking to my friends and my wife, and I was like, all right, I'll do that. And here we are, years later, crossing our 20,000 sub mark, and you guys are awesome. But yeah, we're about to wrap this thing up. Thank you all so much. Like I said, as well as myself, there's some amazing Horizon content creators out there that I want to talk to more and potentially collaborate more with. Be sure to check out The Patient Wolf. His lore stuff is really phenomenal. Y'all know Joe Raptor. He does a good job. Kirsty's Focus, I think she's widely underrated, so make sure to check her stuff out. And there's some questions going on here as far as like, I'll be doing a playthrough of Horizon Forbidden West. At least that's the plan anyway. I'm not sure how exciting my playthrough will be because it's just me like looking in corners and things like that. But yeah, you guys are so awesome. And before we go, I just want to say, as always, thanks for watching and keep questing. And here's to the next milestone, guys. You guys are amazing. And thank you all so much. And I'll catch you guys next time. Be sure to tune in. Oh my gosh. Whew. Good thing we're wrapping this up. Tune into the channel tomorrow. Our last video on the Liberation arc of the comics is coming out. So if you're curious about that. And thank you so much, Hector, for your donation. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a wonderful weekend.